Hey, it's Dee from Twinflame Stories podcast. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, let me give you a rundown. Basically, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Here's how it works. Anchor lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to the most popular listening platforms, including Spotify, with a single tap. Anchor is also the only place you can publish video podcasts to Spotify. With Anchor, creators can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hi, it's Dee from the Twinflame Stories podcast. Welcome. The Twinflame Stories podcast is a place where you can listen to stories from other twin flames and where you can share your own journey. If you'd like to share your own journey, please write to me at d@denisetaylor.me. I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I'm a one-person production, so please understand it might take me time to respond. Please be sure, if you'd like to share your story on the podcast, that you change the names of people and places if you don't want those to be used publicly. I also have a community on Facebook that you can join called The Collective. The Collective is a group that offers daily divination, monthly energy clearings, a monthly live card reading session, and a personal one-card read each month. In addition, it's a platform to ask, receive, and lend a hand to other twins as they navigate their journey. You can find out more about the paid subscription to The Collective by visiting denisetaylor.me. The link will be in the show notes. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Good day, everybody. This is episode 9, and I have a really super good surprise today. Miranda was able to come and share part of her story with us. I'm super excited about it. I appreciate her so much. I appreciate all of you for writing and saying how you're feeling about things, for listening, for sharing your stories. I just cannot tell you guys enough how appreciative I am. So today, I was able to do an interview with Miranda, and she will be coming back at some point because I had a list of possible questions that we could go over, and she was so kind to work her story around those questions, and we ended up doing her interview in 2 sessions. And when we came back for the second session, I kind of scanned through the questions and felt like we had touched on them, and felt like I was being redundant to keep asking her the questions that were still remaining. And I felt so bad because she told me later that she had weaved some more wonderful information into the remainder. So even though we had briefly touched on those questions, there was still quite a bit of material that she could have shared with us. So I'm really hoping to get her back so we can listen to some more of her experience. I think it's priceless. And I just want to tell you, thank you all for having patience with me. This is a completely new learning experience, and I'm really grateful for just the patience and the love that come with your stories and when you listen. So thank you, Miranda, for being so patient. I definitely understand now that I could have had an open dialogue with her and said, hey, do you think these are redundant? Do you want to keep going? I just don't want to take up your time. And I didn't do that. So I know in the future that I certainly can have open dialogue and ask people how they're feeling about it and just check in. So anyway, I again say thank you, thank you. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your love. Thank you for listening. I hope you're enjoying everything. We've been really fortunate. We had a great story from Lana last week, and now this week we're going to have an actual interview with Miranda. So we are really getting treated with some wonderful experiences, and they are just beautiful. So thank you very much, everybody, and enjoy this week's episode. And again, if you ever feel like you want to share your own story, you can either write it to me and I will share it on the podcast, or we can do an interview over the airwaves, of course. And if you have questions or comments, you can always write me. For any of those reasons above, just write to twinflameauthor@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right. Thank you. You guys have a great day and enjoy this episode.
Hello?
Morning.
Hi, Dee.
Hi, Miranda. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. I'm glad this worked out.
Yeah. Can you
Thank you for
hear
being.
me all right? Is it okay? The
It's
sound
really
and
good.
everything? Okay,
Yeah.
because I'm on my earphones, so I wasn't
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, you
Okay,
sound real good.
okay, awesome.
Okay.
All
So
right.
what I was wondering,
Yeah.
if you wanted to start with questions, or do you want to share your
Uh, oh, I actually put it in one of the questions that you
questions?
asked me. So yeah, we can just follow the questions you were going to ask
Okay.
me.
All right. Let's go.
Okay.
Thanks for doing this for us. This is really nice.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so everybody, this is Miranda. This is the story we shared a few weeks ago, and we really appreciate that she shared it with us. Um,
Hello.
we're
Thanks for
so happy.
having me.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
happy to have
Yeah,
you. Okay,
I'm excited.
you mentioned that your enlightened path had began with a soulmate named Dan. So did
Yes,
you know at that time that Dan was your soulmate?
I did. Yes. He was the only one that I could actually be myself and give unconditional love to each other. I remember my mom rolling her eyes seeing us together because we were really inseparable back then. But yeah. So.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you had a good feeling of what that term meant.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I wasn't really familiar with twin flames yet back then, but
Okay.
I knew about soulmates. I only
Oh,
discovered about twin flames maybe a few years back.
okay. So that
Hmm.
was a couple of my questions too. That did you
Yeah,
wonder if he was your twin, but you didn't really know about twins yet then.
no, I, yeah, no, I didn't think he was, but I did think about him for a long time until I met my actual twin. But
Okay.
I feel like I missed the relationship with Dan. I mean, I used to miss the relationship with Dan, but like
Mhm.
not himself.
Okay.
Mm.
So when you were with Dan, what really stood out for you? Like what was that feeling like?
Well, it's like I got struck by lightning when I first saw Dan, and I knew I had to get close to him somehow. Um, I could just be with him day and night, and but we would like he would shed tears, and I would also when we fought. But then we'll, just reconcile and be back in each other's arms again. And it just felt really natural to be with him.
That's really beautiful.
Mm.
So when you think back to it, do you think that you and Dan had shared past lives together? Do you believe in past lives?
I do actually, yes. Yeah, with Dan, maybe. I would think that he would have been some kind of like a master of some profession because I really respected Dan. Like, he was actually a year younger than me. And back
Okay.
then, we were just students, but I knew that he was going to be someone, yeah, someone who's going to do something big. And yeah, apparently, he's doing something like that now. I don't keep in touch with him anymore, but I do hear some rumors about him now and then from our mutual friends.
Yeah, it's interesting how you kind of hear through the grapevine
Yeah.
people that were connected with you.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
after Dan,
Hmm.
you did say it took a while before you met your ex-husband. Yeah? Or was it not too long?
Actually, let me see. I think it was about maybe 2 years, maybe a year and a half
Okay.
later.
And then
Yeah.
when you met him, like, how did that feel to you?
My ex-husband. Well,
Yeah.
actually, yeah, I wasn't ready for any serious relationship when I met my ex-husband. It was like he really, really worked hard to like convince me. um, because I wasn't ready because I was so heartbroken from the breakup with Dan, and I wasn't
Hmm.
ready to trust anyone. So, but for yeah, my there was something about his voice that I really liked, and I remember calling his phone when something upsetting happened to me, and then just listening to his voice really calmed me down, and I think that's when I thought that I could trust someone, like trust him again, because
Hmm.
yeah, and yeah, it felt like he was kind of like my, I don't know, like a family, like someone really supportive of me. Hmm.
Right.
That kind of
So that
feeling, yeah.
leads me to the
Hmm.
question of, do you feel like
Hmm.
that you guys had made a contract before you can't like incarnated to, so that he could be somebody who could comfort you and somebody who could bring Sarah for you?
Yeah,
Like,
yes,
was
I do. Yeah, I do actually, because we're still good friends, and I think the reason we are still, we don't hate each other, we're not fighting about, like, I think it's because it was our mission to bring Sarah into this world. And
right,
yeah, my ex and I we actually talk about our current relationships with our partners as well. Um, he sometimes asks me like, "Oh, is this like normal for girls to be like this?" I'll be like, yeah, maybe you should give her space, blah blah blah." Anyway, so
that's
that's
very
that's I know
interesting.
it's very weird. But yeah, so that's
But that's
our
good.
yeah. So I know we did discuss about how we want to raise Sarah, and we both love Sarah very much. So we're
Good.
really like family, even after a divorce, which I feel I'm very fortunate to be in such situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. Some
Hmm.
people definitely have a rough time, so that's really good.
Yeah.
So just so everybody is aware, if you had listened to Miranda's story, she has a daughter who is her soulmate. Her name is Sarah. That's what we were talking about.
Yes.
All right. So tell me about meeting James, the very first time you laid eyes on him. This is your twin.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, it wasn't as dramatic as when I met Dan. Um, I was invited to a friend's party, and he was there. And I think one of our friends introduced us to each other, but there was no attraction. I mean, we both felt nothing really. It was just like, "Hi, oh yeah, my name is Miranda, blah blah blah." And then I left to eat something with my girlfriend, and then, but my friend who organized the party called me, and he's like, "Oh, why don't you like come back and join? We're going to this other bar." So I did, and there I was sitting across him. But James, he he looked so like stern and grumpy, and I didn't really want to talk to him, but I had to make small talk because he was like right in front of me.
Right.
And then he had to leave, so I was like, I think I was talking about this rash I had on my skin. And he said he knows a good dermatologist. And then, so I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then he asked for my Facebook or Instagram account, but I didn't have one back then. So I gave him my LinkedIn. And then he now tells me now that, he was impressed that I didn't have Facebook. I don't know. Like, he thought that was kind of cool. But anyway, so yeah, and then like time went by. I forgot about the dermatologist or him, but he messaged me through LinkedIn after about a week, I think. And then he later told me he had to register because he didn't have one to message me. And then, but it was like only a few texts here and there. We just treated each other like friends. There was no attraction still, nothing special. Until we actually decided to meet for a drink one night. And I think it was supposed to be a quick drink after work, and I was to meet him at 8 p.m. that night, I remember. But I couldn't leave work till like 10 p.m. So I was like, oh, maybe we should reschedule. But he said, oh, it's okay. The bar is just downstairs from my flat, so it's all right. But no, he didn't have any intention of taking me home or anything. It's just, yeah, he was like, oh, it's fine. So I did show up at 10 p.m. and he still had that really stern look initially, but after talking for a while, we realized that we had so much in common, and I guess we think similar. So we talked and
Yeah.
talked, yeah, and I felt like we could talk on forever, and
Hmm.
yeah, and then it was really, yeah, it was like coming home. It was like, wow, like I feel like he's part of me. I don't know, it's really weird, but I felt that way.
Hmm.
But it wasn't like I was in love yet. But then it was the second time I remember that I felt it. I was like, I fell in love. And it was like when our eyes met, I felt something
Hmm.
inside me squeeze really tightly. And it was like telling me, like, here he is, he's finally here with you. Go for it. So yeah, that's how I met James.
Oh, it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
So, as things progress, like just in that first little while, were there times like where you felt like you were really, really high and then maybe really low? Did you experience that at all? Some people do. So, I was just
Um,
curious if you had experienced it or not.
yes. So it was like we were living in a bubble, and actually, we still feel like we're living in a bubble, to be honest. And it's been 2 years. We initially thought honeymoon periods will be just a few months, but it
Hmm.
is actually still working for us. We could be totally silent and just hold hands on the couch or something, and I'll be in peace. Like we don't have to talk. Or we could be like
Beautiful.
traveling somewhere like to Italy or something, drinking wine, and we'll be like laughing like
Hmm.
teenagers, and we'll be like, "Oh, we're so silly." Um,
Right.
but the strange thing is, when we're away from each other, well, at least for me, I think about him a lot, but I don't feel the need to text or call him. Like if he
Hmm.
contacts me, then I will reply. But I think usually maybe because I'm working or taking care of Sarah, and yeah, so we only meet once a week. But when we meet, yeah, I feel like we're still living in that bubble. And that's kind of like the high. I feel like happiness
Right.
just pours out of me.
Hmm.
And I actually have this similar feeling towards Sarah. like I just want to hug her and kiss her and show her my love all the time. And with James, I actually feel something like I feel the same, and I want him to know that I love him unconditionally, and it's something that will never change for me. And
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I can relate.
yeah. But about the lows, yes. We broke up twice, as I mentioned before, and they were both initiated by him. Um, Now that I think of it, it's always like a fight that's gone bad. Like, we will fight, we'll say like ugly things to each other, and then we just break up. And
Mm-hmm.
because we usually don't fight that much, I think when we really fight, it goes to extremes. And yeah, and then I'll be crying nonstop alone. But, you know, I found out why I was crying so much. It was because I was trying to stop myself from loving this guy, because we broke up. Maybe,
Right.
I should find someone else. We're not meant to be, and all that. And it was really hurting me because I didn't want to stop. And so the moment my tears will dry up is when I stop thinking that I have to force myself to stop loving him. And it's okay to, just continue loving him. Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. I think that's right on the money.
Mm.
No, they can't even say. They're not they don't get to say whether we can love them or not.
Yeah.
That's up to us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Hmm.
Okay, so do you feel like there's things like that he mirrors for you? Not like as in the same, like he's the same, but when he comes around you or you're spending time together, that maybe there's something about yourself where you're like insecure or unsure.
Yes, he does show me that. But not so now after the second breakup.
Mhm.
Because before I was quite upset that I've never met his parents. But now I'm actually not that, like, I don't really care about it because I realized that I was rushing and like pushing him when he's the kind of person who has his own pace of things. And I just made this assumption in my head that if I didn't see his parents, he wasn't serious with me, or like
Mhm.
he wasn't thinking long term. Like I was just thinking, like assuming things of the norm. But he mentioned, like, for example, the other day, he would just say, like, oh, like, I want to go back to Italy with you when we retire. Or, like,
Oh.
there are things he says that that he's in for the long run. And yeah, and I'm now confident to say that he's my twin. So I really don't mind. And I would want to work things out that's blocking both of us, though.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
really good.
Yeah.
So when did you realize that like he was your twin, like where that title came into the picture, where you're like, oh, he's my twin?
Um, well, actually, I mean, okay, so when I started dating him, it was like, I remembered the time when I was dating Dan. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, because the whole relationship with Dan, it made me think like, okay, if I could ever find someone who I would have a connection like how I had with Dan, I'm never going to let him go because he is going to be the one. And I was like, okay, you know what? Dan was there. Like, I met him like 12 years ago because to teach me that if I do find this guy, I shouldn't let him go. So
Mm-hmm.
when I started dating James, I just felt that connection. Like I felt home, and I felt so like I could be myself. And so I actually knew that this was not like, like a usual relationship for me. I knew this was going to be really special. But I
Right.
actually had my doubts before talking on the podcast. So,
Mm-hmm.
which was like maybe last week. So I actually asked the universe to show me if he really is my twin. So I read an article somewhere that so after that I wrote an email to myself, like to the universe, telling them to show me. In my case, I wanted to go for something you hardly find, and I really don't know why, but I came up with, I was like, okay, universe, dear universe, if James is actually really my twin, I want you to show me. And I said, I really don't know why, but I said a blue colored owl, like the bird
Oh,
owl.
that's interesting.
I know, because you don't see a blue colored owl. I mean, like
No.
seriously, I don't even know why I came up with that. But anyway, so I said that, and I asked that I emailed myself, but addressing to the universe, like, okay, show me a blue colored owl within 3 days. So I said that last Thursday. So
Mm-hmm.
if he is my twin, I would have to see the blue owl by Saturday. And then Thursday and Friday went by, and I didn't see anything. I even saw James on Friday night. We had dinner, but I didn't see any blue owls. I didn't tell him about it. I didn't tell anybody about it. I just kept that to myself. But yeah, I didn't see blue owls. I was like, okay, so hmm. But so then it was Saturday, and I went to my yoga class. And after that, my mom was like, "Oh, can you buy me like a few things from the grocery?" So I'm like, "Okay, sure." So I went to this like supermarket. It's kind of like a big supermarket,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, to buy the things my mom asked me to buy. And there was like this crazy queue that day. I don't know. The line was so long. So I started queuing up at the cashier, and
Mm-hmm.
when I was standing there, I was like staring straight ahead, like straight ahead. And then I see something like a bird looking thing in front of me, but it was like 10 meters away, so I wasn't sure. So it's like if I wasn't in that queue, like if it wasn't a long queue, I wouldn't have seen that because I wouldn't be standing there. So I was like, "Oh my gosh, what is that?" So I got out of the queue and started walking towards like this household goods area that I hardly go to. And there he is, this blue colored owl. Um, yeah, it seems to
That's
be
so
it.
nuts.
I know it seems to be like a cover for a heat warmer thing, or I don't know. It's like one of those like character stuff. I mean, there was a cat and
Right.
next to it, and then there was a blue owl, and it actually said owl, and I was like, oh my god. But anyway, I was so excited. I mean, by myself. So I took the photo, and yeah, and I thanked the universe because yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, like yeah. And
I like the
so
answer.
yeah, and then I did tell James later about this, and yeah, he was like, I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking. I had to tell someone, so I was like, oh my gosh,
I
this
know.
happened. And like, he's like,
He's
yeah, but
probably thinking you were gonna throw me away for a blue
yeah,
owl.
I know
Like,
exactly.
if
And
you
he's
didn't
like,
see
and then
that blue owl, you're
exactly,
gonna get rid of
I
me.
know. And it's like, what? Why did you even think about like, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So he was
It's
just
neat
like,
that you did
okay, yeah, I know,
get the
but I'm
answer,
glad,
though.
I'm glad I saw. Yeah, but
I'm
yeah.
really glad you
So
you saw it.
yeah, thank you. But so it's like, yeah, but that's but other things. Recently, I've been seeing a lot of like numbers like 111 and 222,
Mm-hmm.
like 111s, 222s, and 555s. It's really strange. It's been going on for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, following up to the
Triggered
podcast.
messages.
Yeah, because
Yeah. Triggered
when I
messages.
started talking to you, I did start thinking about twin flames much more than I did before, and I just felt like the
Mm-hmm.
universe was speaking to me like, okay, you're on the right track, kind of thing. It's like it's
Definitely
really,
true.
yeah, it's really subtle, but yeah, that's how I
You just
felt.
have to pay attention. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I totally understand that.
Mm.
Um, what was I gonna say? Ask you. It wasn't a question I originally had for you, but
Yep.
um, about like the doubts. Like,
Hmm.
did you feel triggered like when you started to think about it more? Like, did it trigger you and when you thought, well, maybe he's not? Like, did it kind of freak you out? Like, I feel like
Mm.
sometimes we delve into something and then
Yeah.
we might get scared or we get triggered. That's what I call it, getting triggered. And you're like,
Mm.
I don't know about this.
Yeah, you start doubting. Yeah, 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 yeah. I
Yeah.
did, I did. I mean, I'm like, yeah, I guess, because sometimes I just think, maybe this is all in my head, and we don't
Mm-hmm.
really, we're not twins, and one day he might, like find someone else and be with that person. So I have those kind of insecure thoughts that
Yes.
does overwhelm me sometimes at night.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but I decided, you know what, I am going to work on this relationship, and he is here with me right now. So yeah,
And
we're
that's
going to work
exactly
on
right.
it. Yeah,
Yeah. That's the
like
best you
just
can do is just
think
be in it.
positively. Yeah, yeah, that's
Yes.
what I'm trying to do now.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
just to realize, like for everyone,
Hmm.
including me,
Yeah.
when you feel triggered to,
Hmm.
to work on it, like realize like what is it? What sets me off like that?
Yeah.
And find a way to, like you do, like you say, okay, well, I know this is what I'm thinking and I can change that thought.
Hmm.
So, for everybody to just be encouraged to work on those triggers when you come across them. It's common, very, very common.
Yeah.
All right. So, did you want to share anything about like how it is for you guys physically?
Physically, it's
Yeah.
really amazing. I mean, I've never had, such a great physical connection with anyone, to be honest. Like even with Dan, I didn't have this. Like even my ex-husband, I didn't have this. So, yeah, it was really surprising for me actually. You know, if I can,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want
You
to
can speak.
talk too much about it,
No,
but it's like,
totally up to you.
yeah, but like the first time because I kind of gave up. Like I was like, okay, I'm never going to really have a strong physical connection with anyone. Like I don't know, I just thought that way. I kind of
Mm-hmm.
gave up on that area. But so it was really like I was shocked, and I think he was shocked too. The first time things happened, and it was just so
Mm-hmm.
magical and just like really, I don't even know why. Like I don't know if it's an emotional thing or we're like a puzzle piece, yeah, two puzzle pieces that actually match. I don't know why, but it was just so amazing that I think that was also one of the things that made me think that he was, special. He was that this relationship was going to be special. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
it's
For
it's
sure.
definitely an important factor for me.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely
Yeah.
having those energies come together. I mean,
Hmm.
they're just incredible.
Yeah.
So bunch of more questions, but I think we touched like back and forth on a lot of them. So at this
Mhm.
point, I feel like, is there things like you'd want to say to somebody else? What would you tell other people, other twins, or people who might aren't sure or they're discouraged?
Mhm. Um, I think, well, if you really feel that he or she is your twin, they probably are.
Hmm.
But pushing them will only push them further away from my experience. I've experienced it twice. So I think we all have our own timing, and it's okay to keep loving them. Just keep loving them unconditionally, but don't stop pursuing what you want in your life as well. Like, stay positive, be healthy, and whenever you do see your twin, be full of like energy, like positive energy, love, and affection. Let them know that you love them unconditionally. Don't ask them questions. Wait for them to share their thoughts with you. I think those are the things I learned so far from spending time with James.
That's really good. Really
Mm-hmm.
good advice, I think.
Yeah.
Sounds like a beautiful way to approach them. And I really like how you say about taking care of yourself and like still pursuing your life,
Yes,
but yet
definitely.
loving them unconditionally. Like it's that
Mm-hmm.
whole trying to mesh that together
Yeah.
can be challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Can be challenging, but it sounds
Yeah.
like you guys are in a good spot. And
Yeah.
I'm glad for you guys. This is what we need. We need to hear about people who aren't together also, but this is really good to hear about people who are managing, because for the rest of us we're like, okay, this can happen. This Our time is going to come and it's going to happen. It gives us a lot of hope.
Yeah, it is going to happen. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Just
I
stay
really
true.
appreciate the time you
Yeah.
spent with us.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me here to share with you some of my own experiences.
Yeah, it's
Um,
amazing.
thank
Is there
you.
anything else you wanted to touch on, or you feel like we
Um,
could share?
no, I mean, well, I just want to say miracles do exist, and so, just be true to yourself and thank everything and everyone around you, and yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's all I want to say, I guess, for now.
Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Oh, thanks for having me here,
And
Dee.
if there's times where you want to come back
Hmm.
and share new revelations, we would be so happy to have you again.
Yeah, definitely. We'll stay in
All
touch.
right. Yeah, definitely stay in touch. And
Hmm.
thank you so much for sharing with us. It's such a blessing.
Okay, thank you, Dee.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Okay, I'll
bye.
talk to you later. Okay,
Okay,
bye.
okay, sure. Bye. Thank
All
you.
right,
Bye,
bye.
Dee.